Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking to none other than Daphne Valcin. She is the CEO of Daphne Valcin Coaching. Daphne is a master certified coach and also a certified facilitator. Her training and experience has equipped her with skills that are valuable to teams looking to enhance their connection. There are a few things that I'm going to be talking to Daphne about. The very first one is the importance of developing a personal mission statement. The personal mission statement can actually help you create your custom career roadmap. The second thing we're going to be talking about is what consists of your village of advisors. And finally, we're going to be talking about how you can embed emotional intelligence into your work life. Stay tuned for my conversation with Daphne. If you are listening to this, there's a good chance that you're a woman in the corporate world who feels stuck in your career and you're not sure how to advance. If that's the case, I want to let you know that I have an incredible resource that can help you. I created a promotion readiness checklist with you in mind. The checklist can help you pinpoint exactly what you need to work on to advance in your career. And the best part, it's completely free and it only takes 3 minutes to complete. I have helped countless women like you achieve their career goals, and I know exactly what it takes to succeed in the corporate world. My promotion readiness checklist is a perfect tool to help you get started on your path to success. You will find the link on the episode website, or you can go on nowomanleftbehind.com to take the quiz. Hi, Daphne. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being here today. Obviously, we are going to be talking about empowering women in their corporate careers. And you are the perfect person to do that because you're obviously Daphne Valcin, but you're the CEO of Daphne Valcin Coaching. Now, one of the main things that I want to chat with you about is a personal mission statement. As you well know, it's important for women to have their career roadmaps, and there's so many different components of a career roadmap. And one of them is having a personal mission statement. So let's talk about having the personal mission statement and why it's so important to move someone's career forward.
Sure. So, one of the things that I hear, and I would say even more over the past few years as we've been in the pandemic, is that people are not necessarily clear on what it is they're trying to do and where it is that they're trying to go. And I think the pandemic especially gave people some extra time to sit and reflect on if where they are is where they're truly trying to be. And this is even people who are very ambitious, super high positions within Fortune 500 companies who said to me, I'm not really sure if I'm even doing the thing that I want to do, or if what I felt like I thought I wanted to do is what I actually want to do moving forward. So, developing your vision and developing your mission statement can help you to understand where it is you're going and why.
Got it. Now, when someone thinks about developing their personal mission, what do you think are the important components of actually sitting down and writing your personal mission statement? Like, what are some of the thoughts that they need to think about, reflect on? Because as you well know, when we try to write our personal mission statement, it's not a once and done. It's a work in progress, but we need to understand like the components that go into a personal mission statement. So what do you think are some of the things that people need to reflect on to come up with that personal mission statement?
Sure. In thinking about it, even as we prepare to talk today, I'm thinking that there are four main ways that I think you should do it in terms of what you should be thinking about. And there's all kinds of resources online, right, about doing this in different ways. But for today's purposes, let's think about these four things: your values, your gifts, your vision, and your why. So, your values, your gifts, your vision, and your why. And for the values piece, I'm just going to break down each piece.
Mhm.
For the
Yeah.
values piece, there's so many different inventories of values online now. You can go to one of those inventories. I have some listed here in my notes too that you may want to think about. And these are things that you value when it comes to different jobs that you might have, is what I mean. So, for example, flexible work hours, recognition, creativity, a positive work environment, mindset work. So, a job that contributes to your mindset. Maybe fun is a value for you. Maybe inspiring others is important to you. Learning, financial freedom. So, what I've learned over the years is that oftentimes people can project their values on you. They may say, go out there and get as much money as you can in whatever position that you have. Whereas someone else, for them, their number one value is positive work culture. The
Mm.
money actually doesn't matter as much to them. And for somebody else, they don't really worry about either of those. Flexible hours. After the pandemic hit, a lot of people have transitioned into wanting flexibility, right? So flexibility may be the number one. So go ahead and list maybe what your top 5 or 6 values are that you think are really, really important to you. And then I talked about what your gifts are. So if you think about your previous positions that you've had, and even going way back to high school for those who are really involved when you were younger, the things you were passionate about then, but also your actual corporate positions or your leadership roles you've had, the careers that you have pursued. What are the things that you have found yourself to be really good at? And just listing out those things. Again, you could list 3 or 5 things. You could list 5 or 10 things if you'd like. This is a time to brainstorm and figure out what is important to you or what has been important to others when it comes to who you are. And then going to your vision. So thinking through 3 years from now, what would my overall vision for my career be, or for the impact that I want to make in the world, or how I want to feel about whatever it is that I'm doing, right? So think about what is your vision, let's say 5 years from now, for how you want to be or what you want to be doing or the impact that you want to make. So thinking through those things. And then lastly, your why. So what is it that is motivating you to do the things that you're doing? I think about this here and there. I was thinking about it yesterday. But when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, I always wanted to change the world. That I always. So when people see me, they're like, well, some people say, are you still trying to change the world? Or they say, you're the same, in a good way, in a good way. I've grown, but my heart is the same, and that I really do want to do things that create a shift in society or for the people around me. That's why mentorship is so big to me, being a mentor and helping other people to mentor others as well. So, what is your why? And for me, I'm a first generation American, child of 2 Haitian immigrants, and they instilled in me the importance of doing things in excellence and the importance of working really hard in order to, and I know some people are not a fan of working hard. I understand working smarter versus harder, but for them, they instilled in me how to work hard and how that could produce fruit. So those things are important. And it's also important for me to lift others up because of what I saw my family do for others and what my grandparents did, even for my parents. So what is your why? Why are you doing the things that you are doing? On a deep level, like on a core level, why are you doing the work that you're doing? So my thought is, if you look back at all those things that you drafted, so your vision, your values, your gifts, and your why, then you draft a mission statement. So the mission statement may say something like, my mission is to, and then whatever the vision is, in a way that is, and maybe you incorporate those values in there, or maybe you incorporate your gifts that utilizes my gift for blank so that I can, and maybe that's your why, right? So maybe it's instill in others the things that were instilled in me when it comes to the value of excellence and hard work, or maybe it's to have financial freedom for my family for generations to come. So mixing those things together and whatever works well for you, but taking the time to brainstorm those things can help you to get clearer on your mission. And I know some of you may be saying, well, that doesn't answer the question of what company should I work at, right? Or what specific position? But what it will answer is when an opportunity comes your way and it is not aligned with your mission statement, you can say a clear no. When an opportunity comes along and it's interesting and it completely aligns with your mission, you can say a yes, or you can say, I'd love to have a conversation, or I'd love to pursue that and see where it goes and learn more about it and compare it to your mission. It also can help you within your company to figure out what opportunities you may want to pursue, even internally over the next few years.
I love that. You gave us a very simple way of putting that personal mission statement together. And I like that you interchange the values and the gifts because a lot of times, and you're right, there's a million different resources online about creating your mission statement. But what I really like is that you allowed the person to brainstorm before. And that's why I also said it's not like a once and done. Sometimes it might take, 2 or 3 sessions or a few days for you to think about those things. Because if you ask somebody, okay, Daphne, what are your gifts right now? You may draw a blank and you're like, you can think of 1 or 2, but you may not, think of a lot of them. So I like that you said values, gifts, the vision, and the why can all be part of that mission statement. So that is a great thing. Now, you talked about using the personal mission statement for a position. Can you elaborate that a little bit more, especially internally? So, if you're already in the company and there's an opportunity and you're not sure and you go back to your mission statement, how exactly are you using that mission statement to support pursuing that opportunity or not?
Sure. So I can use I'm going to use a client, an anonymous client, as an example. So, and I'm going to change a whole bunch of things, including the sector the client works in. So this client had a position in a company making a very good amount of money, but not really enjoying the work that she was doing. Let's say that she was working in financial services. So, one of the things that we clarified was where does she want to work in her company, if she wants to work at all within her company. She realized that she wanted to stay within her company, but she realized through understanding what she wanted. We talked about 10 years down the road out of life. We realized that she needed to be able to speak to some higher ups, maybe some people in some higher level leadership positions, and to cultivate a network with them because she may not be able to get to the role that she wanted directly just by applying. The role that she wanted incorporated more interaction with external clients, but in a different kind of way, and also more ability to mentor others within the company, and also a greater ability to pull in people who were, let's say in this case, women, right? So people who may not be getting as many roles to be able to pull them into the company as well. So having the power to do that. This client had a passion for mentorship, has a passion for problem solving, has a passion for innovative ideas, and that we clarified through thinking through her vision. So this client was able to cultivate the relationship with someone who was higher up in the organization and was able to also participate in different initiatives within the company that got her greater awareness throughout the company internationally, and was able to move up. I feel like it was three, I don't want to say, I think it was 5 bands, but I'm gonna say 3 bands, at least 3 bands up. And as opposed to moving just to the next higher up role in the company, was able to move up 3 bands, and also was able to increase her salary by 105%. But so clarifying kind of what she didn't want and what she did want and why and where she wanted her life to be 10 years from now allowed her to be able to more strategically move in the company. And she was able to do those things that were important to her as well.
Oh my gosh, that is a perfect example. And I'm so glad you shared that story because that is a perfect example of how you can use that personal mission to move yourself forward in the company. Now, I always also use a very simple example of like values, like core values. Like if you are really into health, you're not going to go work for a tobacco company, right? Because they know that their product it causes cancer. But in this situation, you outlined beautifully how that mission really aligned with her why, and taking that opportunity really fulfilled her too. So I love that. Now, you also, in that example, you also talked about clarity around the direction. When you were working with her on getting clear on her why, like what was it that she wanted, what were like some of the questions that you asked her? Because I think a lot of people struggle with clarity of, should I stay in my position because it's comfortable and I'm getting a secure salary, but I'm bored? Should I move to another position? Should I go to another company? Those are the things that I hear often, that people are, women specifically, are not clear on. So what would you say are some of the questions that you work with your clients on to get clear on how to make those determinations?
One of the questions that I ask, even if we are doing executive coaching or it's focused on their career, I might ask 10 years from now, what would your life look like ideally? Very general question. So then the client has the opportunity to say, I want to be traveling the world. Or they might say, I want to be working in a job where everyone is caring and compassionate. I want
Mm,
to work somewhere where I'm valued. Or they might say, I want to have great work life balance where I never have to take work home. Or they
mm,
may say, I want to be in a C suite position 10 years from now. So many different things come up that allow me to ask more questions. For example, if they say, I would like to be in a C suite position, I might say, so would you want that C suite position to be associated with what you're doing currently? So in change management or in innovation or learning and development? Or could you see it being somewhere else in another topic? And they might be like, no, I actually don't want to be working. Or they might say, I'd love to continue to work in learning and development and grow within this area. And I might say, how does your work life balance look like at this time? Does it matter at all to you? And some might say, no, I just want to make as much money as I can. And I say, okay, great, sounds good. Or they might say, yes. Some of my clients maybe want a family, don't have a family, don't have children yet. So they might say, well, by that time I may have small children, hopefully. So I'd want to still be in the C-suite role, but I want to have work-life balance. I'm able to at least be home after work. I don't
mm.
need to work from home, but I want to be home after work. Okay, sounds good. So I'm asking questions. Do you want to travel? Are you traveling? Is that important to you? No. Okay. What salary range could that look like? Why is that important? How realistic is this for you? Right? Depending on what the salary is. What would a range look like? So I'm asking questions first to think about their whole life and then to get more specifics on the things that they share so that we can craft a picture of what that future looks like. Something that people also, I feel like, became a little more unclear about in the midst of the pandemic was, do they want to work with a team or would they rather work on their own? That's trickier because before you kind of assumed you would always be working with a team and maybe you're working a little bit more independently at times. But that's people have interesting answers to that. Like some are like, no, don't need to work with a team, want to work from home. I don't want to manage anyone is something I've heard a little bit more in the past few years. I still want a high level position, but no managing direct reports. So asking those specific questions, and some of them I gave examples for, is basically what I tend to do.
Got it. So a lot of it is just probing questions and reflective questions. A lot of them were reflective questions like, what do you want to be doing 10 years from now? That's not an answer that people readily have available. So you kind of have to sit there and think about the situation. But so what I'm hearing you say is that if you want to get clear your personal mission statement, or whatever you want to do, you have to ask yourself those probing questions of, what do you want to do 10 years from now? And you also were asking a follow-up question to the answers that you were getting, which is, why is that important to you? And I think that's a really key question, because a lot of times if someone's like, I just want to make more money, well, why is that important to you? And I think that gets them thinking like, well, maybe they will have little kids at the time, and
Mm.
maybe their priorities will shift at the time. So I like the way you did that follow-up question. Well, why is that important to you? Because it'll get them thinking about the bigger picture, not just money. So for sure. I
Exactly.
like that. Okay, so when we're talking about leaders, a lot of times leaders get stuck. So, how do you recommend that a leader gets unstuck? Like if they're not engaged or if they're not fulfilled in their position. Obviously, it'll go back to the personal mission statement, but how do you think a leader should position themselves for that next promotion? Hey everyone, I am so excited to announce that the Unlock the Leader Within membership is finally launched and live. This segment is brought to you by our very own No Woman Left Behind. The Unlock the Leader Within membership was designed to empower you in your corporate career to advance your career with confidence. Confidence is so lacking these days. When you join the Unlock the Leader Within membership, you will gain the ability to become a high performer. You will have your custom career roadmap and more than anything. And the thing that's most exciting to me is that we will build an amazing community of like minded, ambitious professional women that are there to help and support and learn from each other. This incredible membership is up and running, so check it out. Go ahead and scan the QR code over here, or if you're listening to this episode, go to the episode website and click on the Unlock the Leader Within membership to check it out. And now back to our episode.
And having a number of different kinds of people within your village can help you to not get stuck. And you mentioned also to prepare for a promotion. If you have some of those folks in your village, there are some friends that will sit you down and say, "Hey, what's the next role that we're that we're pursuing? Because you've been doing this, you've been knocking out the ballpark. I'm so glad you got that award. But what's next?" Or there's mentors and sponsors who are like, "All right, I'm sending you another opportunity. I think it's time for you to take it to the next level and apply to this position internally." So I think those things all together can help you be equipped for getting promoted as well if you're feeling stuck.
Got it. Well,
Mhm.
first of all, I absolutely love the phrase village of advisors. I'm going to steal that from you because it is such a perfect visual of, a lot of times like, well, do you have a mentor? Do you have a sponsor? But you're absolutely right. It's a village of, depending on what your needs are. I have three sisters, so they're my village of advisors, with our family. But I also have my college roommates, I have my work friends, I have all these people. And most importantly, you mentioned a mental health professional. Obviously, not everybody needs a therapist, but I think there's a lot less stigma these days about going to see a mental health professional. In the olden days, if you said, go see a therapist, they're like, well, I'm not crazy. Yeah, but therapy isn't about that. It's about helping you navigate challenging situations. And they're on demand. No therapist says you have to come every week for a year. It's like, come when you need me. So I love the visual of the village of advisors. Now, you also mentioned a change management expert, and obviously we have a lot of different people listening. So, from your perspective, just so that the audience is clear, what would you say a change management expert does?
Yeah. So, okay, there's a few different clients that when they get to a certain level and they're managing a lot of people, they're starting to see a lot of issues happen and they're not really sure how to approach those issues. The issues could be new software is being rolled out and you are responsible for getting buy-in from everyone in the company or everyone on your team, for example. Or it could be that there have been layoffs, and you went from a team of 8 to a team of 4, and you now have to help your team figure out how they're going to move forward, and also you want to prevent additional people from quitting. So in my opinion, and from my knowledge of change management, I wouldn't call myself a change management expert at all. But in the studies that I've done on change management, A change management expert helps you to understand how to take different ideas or situations or circumstances from wherever they are to a place where people at the company are bought in and understand what the processes are for implementation of whatever you need to do moving forward. Whether it's an issue that's caused you to be in like the change management loop, like there's all kind of resources about change management online. But in my mind, I'm thinking about like the loop of how communication and buy-in goes when it comes to change management. But wherever you are, the change management expert or change management professional development that anyone who's listening can do can help you understand how to get people to a place of buy-in and moving forward together in a great way.
I love how you said they can help the people get the buy-in because, you know, and I myself have been in my past life was responsible for implementing a new system and then bringing all the staff from we're starting this to a year and a half later to people are now comfortable. There's a whole lot of stuff that happens in between the beginning and the return to normal, return to status quo. So thank you so much for that explanation. I think that was a very good way to explain it. I just wanted to make sure or anybody that was out there and going like, what's a change management expert do? Well, it is helping people manage that change of whatever, company, corporate situation has happened. All right. So I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit to talk a little bit about you. How is it that you decided? Now, you said earlier when we started talking that since you were a little girl, you just wanted to make a difference in the world. And so, how and when did you know that you wanted to become a coach to help people through their executive careers? And so, tell me a little bit about your story.
Sure. So I didn't know what a life coach was after graduating from college. There were three different individuals at three different times that shared with me that they thought that I should become a life coach, is what they said. I didn't know what they were talking about. And I was not interested in being an entrepreneur. I was interested in working for others, getting my paycheck, getting taxes taken out, and having lunchtime. Um,
Yep.
so, but these three people kind of planted seeds about that. And ever since high school, as early as high school, I can remember sitting down with colleagues and saying, I would call them colleagues, right? Peers, and saying, hey, I'm a little bit concerned about what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're thinking at all about doing in the future. Maybe we can sit together and just plan out what you're going to do after high school. I started a pre-college club in high school for the same reason.
Wow.
We didn't have an adult sponsor, and I found a roster, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, just written paper of everybody's name and phone number that came to this pre-college club, and I'm like, "We are all going to get to college, so come to this after-school program." Got a teacher to let me use their room and made it happen. So fast forward over the years, I realized that my undergraduate degree is in public relations, my master's is in education. I had a passion for tapping into the potential of people and their ideas over time. All that, the helping people thing followed me into Washington, D.C. I worked there and lived there for about 7 years. I would meet with people at restaurants after meeting them somewhere random, like a birthday party, and say, hey, okay, you're trying to start this thing. Well, let's meet up and let me help you to figure out how you're going to make this thing happen. I didn't know that was an actual job, like helping people when it came to whatever their goals and vision was. But I met my husband before trying to get an MBA. I took my GMAT 3 times until I got the score that I wanted, took a Kaplan class, did networking, did all the things you're supposed to do when you want to get an MBA. But then I met my husband in the middle of all of that. And within a year, we were married, within a year of meeting. So in the middle of all of that, I decided that I was going to go in a different direction where I could delve into something that could grow with my family as an entrepreneur. And then thought about what could that be? And as I explored the things that I did in my background and the impact that I've been able to have at the companies that I worked for and the positions that I had, coaching was what I ended up with launching. And that was in 2014. So as of now, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now.
Wow. Well, congratulations for that. That's huge to get to that 10-year mark, especially 10 years ago. I mean, coaching was around, but it wasn't nearly as prevalent as it is today, as mainstream. People are like, The one thing that I always think of is so interesting because, I'm a certified high performance coach as well. And when we're little, our parents have no problems hiring or having a coach for little league, for piano, for voice, for all the different coaches so that you're in activities. But once we become adults, we forget that we had all these coaches, all these people of advisors, growing up, and then you forget that you actually had all these coaches. So it makes no sense why when we enter the corporate world or just the business world that we forget that, we could hire a coach, whether it's a business coach, a life coach, a career coach, whatever, so that they can help us through those more difficult life transitions once we're adulting, right? It's so ironic.
I completely agree. I'm surprised I didn't know what it was. Like what was coaching or even that you could have a job doing training. So I do corporate training as well, around things like customer service or emotional intelligence, difficult conversations, giving and receiving
Mhm.
feedback. I'm a disc practitioner, all those things. But I didn't know that was a job that you could go in and facilitate conversations or workshops at organizations. I remember faintly having some speakers come to our schools when I was younger, and that's it. But I also think there's a space for helping younger people who are very entrepreneurial now understand that there are these different roles that they can play in other people's lives should they want to, maybe after getting some experience.
Mhm.
Um, game.
Very interesting. Now, you talked a little bit about emotional intelligence. So, I think emotional intelligence comes in with the mythical work-life balance because there is no work-life balance, the way we used to think of it in the past. So, can you talk to us just a little bit about how you can incorporate emotional intelligence into your life so that you're present at home when you're home and you're present at work when you're at work? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So I'm a certified EQI 2.0 practitioner. And with the EQI 2.0 assessment, there's many, many, many categories of what it means to practice emotional intelligence, right? But for the purposes of this conversation, I like what you said about how you are being at home and how you are being at work. So, what happens is when you are promoted into certain roles, even if you are first line manager, it's your first time being a manager, all of a sudden, the way that you interact with people and the way you respond to people can impact you in a positive way or a negative way. So, emotional intelligence is how we are when it comes to how we're feeling ourselves, but also how we are interacting, I would say, effectively with others and our ability to kind of manage our emotions. At minimum, the most basic definition is our ability to manage our emotions.
Mm.
A few ways that you could do that more to be able to manage your emotions more effectively. I think the first one is a greater self-awareness. So being aware of how you are feeling and how you are coming off to others. So when you are on your own, let's say you're having a conversation at work, there's a meeting, they're talking about your specific project. They're actually saying that things have been done that shouldn't have been done. Or they're like, hey, where are you at with that deadline? And you're saying, well, I plan to get it done by next week. Then checking yourself and saying, am I feeling embarrassed? Am I feeling offended? Am I feeling like they should have asked me that in private, whoever said that? Are my shoulders tense? Is my back aching right now? Is my breathing feeling shallow? Because then maybe you need to, and then I think figuring out from there, how do I want to be? So maybe you want to be calmer when people share questions like that, because maybe their intentions are not to embarrass you or to bully you. Maybe they just want to know where the deadline is. So figuring out what calms you down. Is it breathing? Is it affirmations? Is it thinking about how you're going to feel a week from now, a year from now? And then also that how you come off to others when your shoulders tense up and your back is aching and your breathing is shallow, maybe your facial expression is looking like you got an attitude right now too.
Yeah.
So your facial expression is like looking a certain way. And then maybe that prevents others from thinking about you for projects or thinking about working with you or thinking about promoting you because they just feel like you just always have an attitude and they can't even ask you any questions. So it's
Mhm.
how are you feeling and then how are you coming off? That can apply to home too, because maybe you think someone was saying a few days ago, she was saying in her, she was researching that adults and kids both can experience feeling like they have to put so much of themselves out there to be professional or to hold themselves in at school that when they get home, they lash out. Adults and kids, right? So you can think about how am I interacting with my children or my mother or my sister or my cousin, even when they get me worked up, when they say something disrespectful or when they do something wrong, they drop something that I care about, my cup that I love, and think about how am I feeling? How am I doing? What am I experiencing? And also how am I coming off? And I think there's a book called like Helping Not Hurting. It's about like doing international missions or something like that. But you can think, is my response helping the situation or is it hurting the situation in this case? Whether it's your own mental health that it's hurting or your relationship with the other person. So those are some things, being self-aware, how am I feeling? And then how am I coming off at home and at work? The more you're able to hone in on those things, I think the more doors open up for relationships, for your working relationships, for promotions, for opportunities, all kinds of things open up when you can be more aware of those things.
I think that's so enlightening because a lot of times, and I do recall a specific situation years ago where this woman was walking around the office and she just looked like she was angry all the time. And then sometimes someone finally asked, like, why are you angry all the time? And she's like, what are you talking about? This is just my face. It's just like, well, you look like you're angry all the time. She's like, really? Like she never realized it. So she was able to make a little bit or try not make tweaks to her face, but at least try to smile a little bit, because it makes such a big difference. And also, my kids are adults now, but I vividly remember when they were little, they would behave for everybody else. But then when they came home, they were like not behaving for me. I'm like, why do I get all the crappy behavior?
I can
Yeah.
relate. I have a 5 and 7-year-old, so I
Okay. Well, I'm a little bit ahead of you. My son is 25 and my daughter's 22, so just a little bit. Well, Daphne, this has been such a wonderful conversation. You have given us so much already, but I wonder if there's maybe one actionable tip that you think you can leave the audience with before we let you go.
One actionable tip I have is I want you to think about the next 90 days of your life, right? For whenever you hear this episode. And even if you don't get a chance to go through that whole process that I talked about earlier with looking at your values and your gifts and your vision and your why, I want you to think about maybe what are 2 or 3 words that embody how you want to be over the next 90 days that could maybe influence your long-term vision. Because when we talked about the emotional intelligence piece, us talking about the mission statement, it all connects, right? Your how you are and how you're showing up can impact what happens moving forward. So just think about what are those 3 words that you want to exude over the next 90 days. Because if you can exude them over the next 90 days and they're aligned with your values and maybe even your mission, then you maybe could exude that for the next 120 days and the next year and the next 3 years, a little bit more to be aligned with who you are and where you want to be.
I love that. And just so that everybody is aware, my mission is to empower women in the corporate world to overcome their day to day obstacles, to empower themselves with confidence, but most importantly, is to create that career roadmap for professional success. So, Daphne, do you want to share your mission?
Sure. So I would say my mission is helping mission driven leaders to build a firm foundation. And that's what you would currently see at my website if you access it 2023, right? But the part that you won't see on there is to impact their own lives, to impact the individuals around them, to impact their communities and impact society as a whole. That's like my hidden
Mm,
mission.
I love that. I
I
love
wanted
that.
to change the world. So, yes, so that would be my mission.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right. What a great conversation with Daphne. A few key takeaways on the personal mission statement. Daphne advised that it can help you clarify your values, your gifts, your vision, and your why, which can definitely guide you in making proper career decisions and help you stay aligned with your goals. Next, we talked about your board of advisors. And so, what does that consist of? Basically, anyone in your network, which is your mentors, sponsors, friends, expert advisors, mental health professionals, and any coaches that have helped you navigate challenges. They can all help you get unstuck and prepare for promotions in your career. The other thing that I wanted to add to this is that by talking to all these people, they can help you uncover your blind spots. A lot of times we can't see ourselves as others see us. So all you have to do is ask all of these people, what do I do well? And what could I do better? And the things that they tell you that you could do better, those are the things you want to focus on and develop for your future career opportunities. We then talked about emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is you being aware of your feelings and how you come across to others, both at home and at work. Managing your emotions effectively can improve relationships and opportunities. So, all of those things are fantastic things for you to be aware of when you are working on yourself to be able to advance in your career. Daphne leaves us with one actionable tip. She suggests that you take some time to do some reflection work and come up with 2 or 3 words that embody the vision of how you want to be over the next 90 days. And it would be good for you to align this vision with your values and your mission to influence your long term success. So again, that was a great conversation with Daphne. She is obviously very knowledgeable on how to manage different teams and people within those teams. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you complete the promotion readiness checklist. Or if you're interested in checking out the Unlock the Leader Within membership, you can, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can scan the QR code over here. Otherwise, the links to Daphne and all of her contact information, as well as the promotion readiness checklist or the Unlock the Leader Within membership, will all be on the episode website. So, with that, remember to be brave, be bold, and take action.